Hello and welcome to a Break Room special of This Woman's Work. In Break Room we'll be chatting all things women in work, which means the good, the bad, the ugly and the downright weird. I am here today with Jo. Hi Jo.
Hi.
So Jo is my absolute best friend in the world. And I've made her sit down with me today because we're doing something a little bit different, which I have called, as you've heard on the intro, Break Room. Unless I change the name because I decide against that, in which case it won't be called that, and then I'll somehow have to cut this bit out as well. But anyway, for now, it's called Break Room because technically, or not technically, we're at work and we're just in the break room having a chat over a coffee, although actually in our case, a glass of water. And the point of today and this chat is to have a good old chinwag about what it's like being a 40 plus woman in work today, because Jo and I have been chatting a lot lately about this topic in particular in relation to some work stuff that Jo's been going through and in relation to stuff I've gone through in the last few years. And we've had a good old rant and a good giggle about it. Although, do you know what? Let's still start a little bit about what you do for a living, because we still need to talk about what you do for a living. So what do you do for a living, Jo?
Okay. Thanks, Shelley. Dash chops. Dash Aunt Shelley. What do I do for a living? I am a marketeer and have been for 25 years since I left university. So I'm a really general marketing comms specialist. B2B though.
Specialising in B2B, so business to business for anyone that doesn't know.
So I have
worked
for a number of different businesses. I've worked for accountancy, I've worked for insurance, I've worked for real estate. So I've done a plethora of different industries in terms of my experience.
Had a stonking career, had the kids. Who were you working for when you had Callia then?
So when I had Callia, I was working for RBS Insurance.
Okay.
And
did you go back after?
No. Essentially, I decided that I was going to go freelance. Because trying to find something that was going to work around our family life, because obviously we have no family in London. So, we needed to make sure things would work around a nursery, and we didn't, because my husband was working obviously full-time. It wouldn't work for us both. And
we didn't have kids. You didn't have kids to put them into nursery anyway, did you? Like that.
And it was just really important for us to also to get like a nanny was going to cost a fortune, and I wasn't earning that at the time. So it just wasn't going to quite work. So we needed something to be part-time to try and work around as a family. Okay,
so let's kind of get into this then. So I have a real bee in my bonnet about this. So I'm going to sit here and say now, I've got a bee in my bonnet. So a lot of this is I forced Jo to sit down with me so I can have a real rant about this. Because I think that, for anyone that's listened to my little intro things for This Woman's Work, I obviously said when I was trying to come up with the idea, or when I came up with the idea from it, it had come after a spell of just applying for so many jobs for a couple of years and just not even getting a look in. I basically applied for jobs that I knew I was qualified for. I knew I was qualified for them. I knew I'd got really good experience. And I just wasn't even getting a call back. But even industries that I knew I worked in, so sort of agency industries or media industries or retail industries, I just wasn't remotely getting looking. And then someone said to me, about a year and a half ago now, maybe even a bit more than that, she said, it's because I think it's because of your age, because you're in your mid-40s now, and because you've had this, you're a bit of an unknown entity. I think the world of, we could only speak about the world of marketing, it definitely feels like it's a young person's game, doesn't it? It's just hard. I just didn't feel like I just didn't feel like I fitted in anywhere. I don't feel like I'm unemployable now. Do you know what I mean? I've had career breaks. Somebody would have to take a real punt on me now
I don't think, and I'm going to come back and challenge us both on this one, but we're not, as your wonderful song would do, we're not all over, and we are not on the heap yet. We are only in our 40s.
But from a work perspective... Because even like the women that I am chatting to here, absolutely I'm obviously going to chat to some, and I have chatted to some quite hardcore career women.
Yeah.
And I'll keep doing that because I think that's really important to showcase. But a lot of it also is women that have had to carve something else out after kids. They've had to carve something that can work better alongside childcare, husbands' careers a lot. I mean, obviously I have a massive bee in my bonnet about that anyway. And it's, you know, it's women making sacrifices and then almost having to create something out of nothing, which is kind of what you did. You're talking about a little bit with your freelance career.
Yeah.
You know, if you could have found a load of great part-time work, you maybe never would have gone freelance, would you? Because if you'd found a great part-time job...
They're really hard to come by.
They don't exist. They're really hard to come by.
And if you do come by them, a lot of the time they're really quite junior. Really, really junior.
Yeah.
That's what I found. I mean, obviously,
and is that then
I'm in London, so yeah. I mean, you know, you can't get more accessible to
jobs.
And you know, and I'm not very far, you know, just outside of London, aren't I?
Yeah.
I'm on a fast train, 18 minutes into Waterloo.
Yeah.
And even there, it's really hard to come by them unless they are really junior.
Yeah.
A lot of them just want...
And then that doesn't earn enough money then, does it? Like you were saying, you've got to pay for childcare, that kind of thing, after school clubs.
Well, back then it was after school clubs, but yeah, it was just, they are really hard to find. A lot of the time, in my experience of finding roles which then go part-time, is you would go back after having a child and you would negotiate with your employer to go and do your 4 days or 3 days or something like that.
Which is what a lot of...
Which is what most... When I've come across... So those roles are very much harder to come by when they're just like... An employer just going, I just want someone for 3 days a week, which is why I was hoping the freelance thing would work because, and I'm not giving up on it, but, you know, as a freelancer, you get to get somebody with 25 years experience, but you have, you know, they can come in and do mini projects for you. They can come in and do some strategy with you to help, you know, look at your business, but you don't need to have, you know, do you really need that person 5 days a week on a big salary?
Yeah.
Or actually, could you just not just bring in their experience, especially in times of trouble when it's, you know, you need to look at things differently, you need to look at your business differently.
Well, that's really interesting then, because the thing I have noticed, and I've only noticed this because I am looking for someone to support for social media for this woman's work. And I've been looking for freelance social media people, and there are A, loads.
Yes.
And B, they're actually really quite young, which I've been really surprised about. They're still in their 20s.
And they've gone freelance.
And they're freelance. So there's a whole thing, isn't there, about that generation now. They don't want to work full-time. This is a sweeping statement. This is what I read. I'm not saying that obviously lots of them work full-time, but a lot of them want a better, healthier work-life balance. So they don't want to work 5 days a week. They want to be able to pick and choose when they work and where they work. It's a whole movement. They're not millennials, are they? I think, are they the generation below that? Gen Z, are they? Gen X?
No.
Generation X? No, are we?
The 20s are millennials.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, they are millennials. Okay. So millennials want a better work-life balance.
Yes.
So a lot of them are self-employed now.
Wow.
In various jobs, and they freelance so that they can pick and choose their hours. So that's the other thing you're up against now. You're basically not even up against 30-year-old people. You're up against 20-year-old people for freelance work.
Wow.
And obviously...
And actually their digital experience.
Their digital experience is where it's at.
Is going to be, unfortunately, no matter what I do, it's going to be more than mine, isn't it?
irrelevant if I'm doing it, where do we fit into the working world then? Because obviously I've just had a rant.
Yep.
You've quite rightly pulled me back on it. And obviously I've then even pulled myself back on it and gone, actually, maybe I'm just not. It's about not understanding where we fit.
Yes.
It's like we almost can't get the job we want because of the decisions we've made, and that's choice and consequence, and that's one thing. So we can't get the type of job we want. Is that because the type of job we want doesn't exist anymore? Or because other people are... this is what I can't figure out, is why is it so hard?
Maybe I'm looking for too much of a unicorn. You know, talking to you now, and we've had a lot of chats over the last couple of months, maybe it's just too much of a unicorn. Maybe the thing is, I need a business to want something quite specific, and I want to be something quite specific.
Well, and equally, have we then just decided that part-time roles don't really exist anymore because they've been replaced by flexi working? So what you now have is people working full-time, but but they're doing the 3 days in the office.
Yeah.
Or probably maybe even 2 days in an office, and then 3 days at home, which is kind of like the old equivalent of part-time.
Yep.
And also, I'm guessing the at-home days, this is where we'd need people to kind of comment on this, really, are the at-home days that rigid? Do you know what I mean?
I know. So can they go and pick up the kids from school? Can they go and take them to hockey? The problem is,
can they work the hours they want? Because if I think about that little stint I did at that agency group before I started this woman's work, I mean, that was sort of 2 to 3 days in the office. But the amount of people that would come on to Zoom calls with their screens off, it used to drive me absolutely mad. Like, they wouldn't have, because they were quite clearly at home, they were probably in their pyjamas, hadn't got any, you know what I mean? They hadn't actually
got ready.
And none of them, and a lot of them hadn't even got kids. Because the people with kids were probably up and ready and taking, do you know what I mean? Taking the kids to school or taking whatever it was. It was almost the younger ones that just hadn't quite clearly, you know, and they'd got all their screens off, so they're in these meetings with their screens off, just talking.
But I think I would want to be prescriptive, because how can I work full time when I don't want to work on one day?
But maybe you have to. But maybe this is where you actually should be looking for full-time flexi roles.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe you should be looking for full-time flexi roles that allow you to work from home 2 days a week. And because that agency company, their hours of work were 7 till 7. And obviously there were meetings that you had to attend. And the bulk of meetings, really, I think 10 till 4 was non-negotiable.
Right.
Because, of course, they're kind of generally trad working hours, aren't they? 10 till 4. So like loads of meetings would happen between 10 till 4, but before and after that were quite flexible, really.
Wow.
So maybe that's the thing. Maybe part-time doesn't exist anymore.
And maybe we need to look at just flexible.
At full-time flexible. Well, or at least give it a go.
Well, exactly. Maybe I just need to give it a go.
Full-time flexible. But then even so okay. So let's say that's the solution, which it may well not be. And you apply for a head of, you know, hybrid, as they're called, aren't they? So a head of hybrid role. I still think you're going to be up against.
Oh, definitely.
Pre-kids, 30s. So then your experience, technically, so your working experience, for someone 10 years younger than you, would match that. Because you've had career breaks, like you're saying. So all you're trying to do is align with someone with the same level of experience. And if you took your career break out, which is going to be someone in their 30s that hasn't had kids yet.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you get that job over them? Or would you? But then if they've not had kids yet, they've not got the thing of kids. Now, would an employer, and again, this is what I need people to tell me, would an employer look at a woman in her early to mid-30s and go, is she going to want to have kids soon, though? Do you know what I mean? Would that stop?
I mean, that'd be illegal.
Well, it would be. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen, though. Oh, my God, doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
But I don't know. I don't know if... I mean, your lovely song, there's still life in her yet and all that kind of stuff. And there is still life in us, we do still have a lot to give.
Our kids are older. We're not so bound by nursery calling. Like, if your kid's ill, often it's like, all right, give them a paracetamol, we'll be there. You know what I mean? Like,
they don't get the bugs. They don't get the bugs when they have when they're little. So because they're obviously always at home, aren't they, when they're first?
Their school hours are longer, you know. Yeah. They could let themselves into the house, all this kind of stuff. So you are at really now your prime
employable
time because you've got a ton of experience. You're really up for it. And
maybe I'm holding myself back.
Maybe you're not applying for those jobs.
Maybe I've got too scared of rejection.
I know you have a little life in you yet. I know you have a lot of strength left. I know you have a little life in you yet. I know
what of applying for certain jobs?
Yeah, maybe I've just.
Do you know what though? But I can say, hang on, you see, I did that. You see, before this woman's work, I did apply for a ton of jobs for a good year. I applied for jobs in industries that I didn't, you know, so I did in retail, media, even out of it, you know, agency, that kind of thing. And I still didn't get a look in. I still didn't even get a look in.
Did you apply down here?
I did apply because, of course, it was hybrid.
Yeah.
So I have technically done what I'm saying to you. So I was literally just fully looking for hybrid because, of course, one thing COVID did do was open up the job market.
Totally.
Now, like, I'm happy to go to London 2 days a week, whatever it is, and then work from home for the rest of it. So it opened up that job market. But, I don't think employers are really doing that, though. I think
they want them in more. I think it's only going to go back up. I think we'll start getting to people wanting them in 4 days.
And then what will that then do to those young'uns, though?
Who knows?
Could push them more into freelance. Well, maybe that's why.
And then that's going to saturate the market.
I wonder if that's why there's more like young freelancers now, or self-employed people now.
Because they got used to it during COVID, and they want to.
And they don't want to go back. They've been forced to go back 4 days.
And they don't want to.
They
want to have the flexibility of doing
the work-life balance that they have.
Yeah, because I mean, gosh, do you remember when you first started working? You know, I remember my first ever job. One day I left the office at 6 to go, I can't remember where I was going, I don't know, going to meet a friend or something. And officially, I think you're meant to finish at, I can't remember if it was 5 or 5:30, but I finished at 6. And I'd been in early. And I know he said it as a joke, but many a truth is said in jest. Half day, is it? You know, and it was a real thing when I first started work that you didn't leave.
You never left on time.
You never left on time unless you had a doctor's appointment or a dentist. But now, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like,
come 5 o'clock, they're out the door.
Everyone's really gone, and you know, if you came. So we would officially start, I think, at 9, and I think you'd be pretty frowned upon if you came in. If you were in at 7:30. People would be looking at their watches.
Yeah.
And so that was, I mean, I appreciate it was 25 years ago, but that's a massive change, isn't it?
That is a massive change.
Actually now, where you're saying your employer wanted 7 till 7 was flexible time, but your only core hours were 10 till 4. I'd be classed as coming in late if I came in at 7:30.
No, you still had to do, technically, like a 9 till, I think it was like a 9 till 5:30.
Yeah.
Whatever that was,
but you could
do it, which is why, obviously, because I was commuting up to Manchester.
Yeah.
So I'd get there for like 9:30.
Yeah.
And then finish at like 7, 7:30, whatever it was.
You could do it at the other end, which makes sense. But it's maybe it's just a bit of my mindset. I was brought up with, you know, values that you did long hours, and
so this is us. So are we now saying that we're the problem? To quote Taylor Swift. We're the problem, it's us.
Maybe we just...
Because we just don't fit in.
It's shifted.
It's shifted. Because do you know what? You're completely right. So that agency I was working for in Manchester for those 6 months, I really struggled. Bearing in mind I struggled with the work ethic of that company. Categorically, I really struggled. I struggled with the fact that people weren't turning their screens on. So they were quite, do you know what I mean? They were in their pyjamas, the level of commitment wasn't there. I struggled with the fact that, you know, people, I mean, the business wanted people in for 3 days. People weren't coming in for 3 days. They weren't really doing anything, you know. And also, like, people weren't working very hard. I really got that feeling. People weren't working very hard. And the business's solution to that was just to throw more people at it.
Wow.
So, like, you'd have extra people, you'd think, actually, do you really need those people? Like, if that person just did the job they should, do you know what I mean? If they just, but then I'm thinking that based on what we've just said, that I'm exactly like you, like you work hard, you go in, you graft. But of course, 20-year-olds, which is pretty much I was working with a lot of the time, they're even when they're at work, they're going for like coffee breaks a lot. You know, their work-life balance is so different to ours.
I mean, could you imagine, like when you first started work, someone saying, I'm going off for a yoga? I mean,
it happens.
But it happens now, because then they would work late, I don't know. But,
I had a couple of meetings, I can remember I had a couple of meetings, and just people would be late to the meeting because they were just going to get coffee, because the priority was getting, say, like a coffee at 9 or whatever it is. Said rock up at 9 and go and get a coffee. And then he just, I mean, it's a different generational thing.
Yeah.
And I guess because what we've described is going out of the workplace and then going back into it and just finding, bloody hell, that the problem is us. And because we don't fit into what that work life now looks like.
Because, I mean, there is still life in us though yet, Shelley, and okay, there are younger people out there, and, you know, you touched a bit on it earlier, you know, I've taken a hit a little bit, and confidence-wise on age, and all those kind of things, but I'm struggling here because it's been a little bit raw.
It has.
But on the counter to that, I have done some healing as well.
Absolutely.
And I know that I can do things, and there is still warrant, and I have still got a lot to give people and businesses, as have you. I mean, look at what you've done.
Yeah, but
in your mid-40s, set up this amazing channel with huge confidence, and we still do. Maybe we do just need to think about how we adapt to modern practices.
Yeah, modern working
life.
I think it's one thing getting the job, and we haven't yet solved how we get the job yet, have we? So we've decided we're going to go for hybrid roles, full-time hybrid. Obviously, this is all theoretical, but in theory, we're going to go for full-time hybrid roles. But we don't know how to get that role yet, because we're up against younger people that haven't had career breaks, maybe haven't had kids, for anything. And then if we even got the job, you enter the realms of what I then did, whereby you don't fit in it because it's just, the working world is just so different. Oh my God, that just makes me want to completely give up.
We can't give up though.
But then maybe this is why a load of women in their 40s are now, or even are doing what I just said there. You know, they're creating their own, because they don't feel like they fit anywhere. Because the working world is maybe a young person's game, sweeping statement, shoot me down. But maybe the working world's always going to evolve. God, maybe this is what old people felt like when we were young. We just didn't know. We just didn't care.
And we were just like marching on.
We were just there all cocky, and actually older people felt a little bit threatened. I mean, I was an arrogant fuck. I mean, I probably totally was like that when I was younger. So it's an age thing, and it's about becoming irrelevant or feeling a little bit irrelevant.
Well, it's not becoming irrelevant. I'm going to stop you on that one because she is my bestie. I'm going to start. It's feeling
irrelevant,
but we're not, because actually many businesses still want and need us, and we need to make sure that we put our offering out there about what we want to do.
So how do we do that then?
I don't know.
Because I was almost going to go to that point of saying what seems to be missing is some really great career advice and recruitment advice for our generation, for want of a better phrase. So i.e. we need better advice about what jobs to apply for and what working life's going to be like. Do you know what I mean? So that we actually understand what we're going to be doing when we get there, kind of thing. And
hence the beauty of your channel.
Well, maybe, but
because actually I've been listening to it loads and it's given me so many things to think about, and I've loved listening to all the careers, and I've loved listening to all the incredible women that you've spoken to. And actually, but you're right, maybe we just need to, could we not have a platform where you could say what you do for businesses to then be able to go, I need something like that? Because also it's really hard to find contracting work sometimes, because actually, well, how do you find the employer and how does the employer find you?
And all you've got is your CV.
Yeah.
Which, let's face it, you're probably going up against a 20, 30-year-old CV. Let's face it, a 20-something will apply for a head of role as well.
Of course they will.
So they'll apply and they'll do some whizzy, I don't know, YouTube video. Do you know what I mean? They'll do something that...
Oh my God, CVs are on YouTube.
Oh my God, probably. I don't know. Someone else will probably tell us now. They'll do some amazing, CV thing. You're going to hand in your Word document that you've saved as a PDF. Might have some hyperlinks in it if you've remembered to put them in.
I have.
Well done, darling, well done. Okay, so you're doing your Word PDF document. They're sending it something else. Yeah, but maybe that's the point. Maybe what I should do as part of this is actually have some kind of platform where people can, almost like dating. You can post.
I was literally about to say this. Can we not swipe right or whatever it is, though? Because I've never done that before. I don't.
But where you actually could, so you could tell people a little bit more about what you've done, the decisions you've made. So it's almost like the career chats on this woman's work, but condensed down. Because obviously, no employer is going to sit there and listen to 20 half-hour chats.
Of course not. But also a platform where you could just find talented individuals.
Yeah.
With
someone's gonna, but maybe it already exists, and if it does already exist, where is it? If someone knows where this already exists, well, and don't say just job sites and stuff, because from all the job sites I got and you got on, they still look very much this. I don't think job sites have moved on a lot at all, which is why the reason I've launched this is because if you don't really know what you're looking for or you don't know what to apply for, what do you do?
Because when I've searched, including on LinkedIn or whatever, the day jobs are a little bit harder to find. Like if you want someone for a day or you want someone for a consultancy thing. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to know if people think there is more networks out there, some aggregators out there that have pulled it all together.
That would be great to know.
That can do these kind of things, because both you and I have worked really hard with our careers.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a huge amount of experience that I think businesses would be able to tap into so easily.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be the only two people on this planet that have stuff like this that can give to people.
But we've maybe not got, even though we're confident in our ability, we're a little bit camera shy for one. Do you know what I mean? So we're not as I don't even know what that word was. I going to say cocksure.
We're not a 20-something anymore.
Well, we're not. I guess 20-somethings. I'm just innately confident, but equally, I think their lives are in the public domain, aren't they? So they're quite happy to overstate and exaggerate. You know what I mean? They'll they filter their whole lives, don't they?
As I've never been that person, have I?
So yeah, maybe it's just sort of, right, I don't know if I can even remotely solve this, and my brain's going a bit mad now even thinking about it. And if someone else has already solved it, they can obviously share it. But
I do think it's a really interesting conversation, because when you do listen to lots of your women talking, it's all about them talking about how they have had to make changes and
sacrifices
and different things for their families or whatever. And so it's obviously, you know, you've spoken to a number of different women, and I've got friends, you've got friends, and we know that this happens to lots of people. So actually this is a really interesting topic about actually
how to get 40-somethings back into work in a really constructive way,
positive, supportive way. You know, we've got good careers, we've got good academics,
but we've maybe not quite got the confidence to put ourselves out there like 20-somethings.
Yeah, because I was so... Someone asked a great question of us last weekend. What would your 15-year-old self say to you? Or what would your 15-year-old self say?
You look old.
So... Oh, no!
My 15-year-old self would so say that to me.
Yeah.
Damn, you look old.
No, you wouldn't. You look amazing. My 15-year-old self would be... Oh, I was so driven.
Yeah.
I was so driven, wasn't I?
Yeah, totally.
I was absolutely driven. And there was literally, I was like, boom, 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 boom.
Going to be some career powerhouse,
I am going to go,
yeah.
I'm going to go and do it. I'm going
up to London, I'm going to boss it.
So I think the conclusion, coming back to you,
yeah,
because we did spin off for a little bit there.
I mean, it's a break room chat. It doesn't have to have a conclusion, and there's going to be many of these kind of chats. And I don't know if we've really solved anything today, other than, I guess, you know what we have solved is a good bit of self-reflection, which I really like. You know, it's kind of understanding the role you're playing in your own world. And here was me, like, I've been ranting to you going, people just won't employ us because we're in our 40s and they're ageist and da-da-da-da-da. It's a really shit time. But actually, I think you're quite right. I think we've got a lot to, you know, it's understanding the role, you know, what do the kids call it?
Still.
Main player character?
Oh, yeah.
What's that? First player, FPC, first player character. I don't really know what that means in relation to what I've just said, but it felt poignant.
But we have still got so much more to give. We are still really enabled. We have a lot of experience.
You're right. That's where we've got to. We've got a lot to give. Employers need to be a bit more open-minded. And I think the gap's somewhere in between.
And I think, do they know we're here?
Do they really, and are they brave enough to sort of give it a punt? But equally, are we brave enough to go and get it as well? It's like, I feel like there's like this sort of like, this area, isn't there?
There's a void.
There's a void. And they're not coming to it, and we're not going to it. And then but this void almost feels like a talent void.
Yes, because actually, absolutely, young people have got lots to give. We've got kids. We want them to be employed.
No,
you know, they've got a
days.
lot to give.
No, they haven't.
And we've got.
I listened to Jeremy Vine today, and there was just a lot of people going that young people just don't know.
But
they just don't know that they're born, and they've just got they can't even wipe their own asses anymore.
But we've been through recessions before. If you know,
we
to the government, we are now in another. We've been through many recessions. We've been through the 2009 crisis. We have a lot of experience, and we can actually bring lots of experience to people. We've
witnessed the digital revolution.
Exactly.
We were there before it.
We were there when. Well, I was there in 1998 when they said, yeah, that new media, that won't last very well. It's just on the side. We just thought we had to have it. And I remember literally people going, yeah, we've got a website, but obviously, you know, it's just...
it's an afterthought.
We had to have it because other people have got it.
Yeah.
And that was things for social and, you know, but the same thing, the crux of marketing still comes back to, it's just a channel. And we're actually really good marketeers who understand how to get messages out and utilise all the channels that are available to us.
Well, because even websites really are dead. It's all social now. Branding and messaging and all that kind of stuff is all on social now. It's YouTube, all those different social platforms. Websites are really where you go to find very specific information. or a contact us page. Really, aren't they? Because in actual fact, you want to know anything about a brand, you go to their social pages.
I'd still Google something.
Oh yeah, Googling stuff.
Isn't that funny though? That term wasn't even existing when we started out working.
I know.
You didn't Google it.
It was Yahoo. Do you remember
it was Yahoo or Bing.
Or Yahoo was the big thing back in the day.
There was a guy as well. Ask Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves.
Oh my God. There was a guy. Ask Jeeves. He had a little bowler hat, didn't he?
He did. Does that still exist? Probably doesn't, does it?
Who knows? We'll have to look. But I doubt it. But anyway.
Okay, so the void. So we're going to end this chat by acknowledging there's a void that we're not filling and employers aren't doing enough to fill. We're not doing enough to fill and employers aren't doing enough to fill. But right now we don't know how to fill the void.
Yes. So we
need to have another chat about the void.
Yes.
At some point.
Yes.
Cool. On that note. Thanks, Jo.
Love you.
Thanks, Shelley. If you would like to hear more about this chat, see some pics and read about how to get started in this industry and or this role, then please go to our website www.thiswomanswork.org. The link is on this podcast page and across our socials. Sincere thanks.